Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxanne, and this is everything about Hallmark. It is Sunday, and I'm in my comfy clothes, and before I start my day, I was like, let's discuss some predictions. Now, believe me, I don't do this off the top of my head. I've been looking at this information for weeks because it's all about what we're being fed by Peter DeLuise and sometimes the cast members, all those behind the scenes photos, and what could they possibly mean?
Since you're here, click that button and subscribe. Click the notification bell too.
Okay, so we're going to do a little analyzation and a little bit of predicting. I don't want to get ahead of myself because there's not a lot there, but there is a lot there. So this is number one. I'm going to start off with guns, okay? What in the world are all these guns doing in Hope Valley? So the first thing when I see these guns, I'm thinking to myself, danger. Danger has been elevated in Hope Valley because when you think about it, when there are things that are dangerous that happen right in Hope Valley, or that happen right in Hope Valley, are sort of things like snowstorms, windstorms, things like that, an oil rig blowing, of course, the terrible, tragic, explosion inside the mine. That's what started the whole show. But they're not necessarily someone dangerous coming to town. It hasn't been that way for years or seasons. So this season, I feel like that's what the guns signify. There's danger right in the center of Hope Valley. And I think, of course, we see Nathan with a gun, we see Bill with a gun, but the average citizen of Hope Valley, we never see them with a gun. When Lucas first came, he wasn't the average person of Hope Valley. We didn't know a lot about him, and we saw him in one of the episodes, with a gun when he was actually leaving Hope Valley because he was trying to protect his friend. But normally we don't. So we see Bill dressed in a suit. Jack Wagner actually shared this on Instagram, and I just took a quick clip of the actual little clip, and I did like a photograph shot. Well, he's talking about he's dressed in a suit. He doesn't have his Bill tracking a criminal kind of attire on. He looks like he's going somewhere important, and possibly the mayor, but he's not going to be the mayor. Remember my other prediction video? It's going to be Lee. It's going to be Lee. Anyway, back to this. He shows he's in his suit on his horse, and then he shows his gun. He points that out. Now, yes, he does have a gun, but he doesn't walk around in a suit in Hope Valley with a gun. Nathan has a gun. We haven't seen any of that yet. No behind the scenes with that. But we do see Spurlock with his gun. And we see Walden Wyman right next to him with no gun. So this particular actor did tweet out a picture of a gun, and said, "I'm your Huckleberry," which back in the 1850s, which is what that gun, from where that gun is, that was a saying that meant like, bring it. Like we would say, like, I'm ready. You got something for me. I'm here. So I think that really is from another show that he was filming. I don't think it is about Hope Valley, but I do think guns are a symbol this year for this season that there's going to be danger in Hope Valley. And rightfully so, because who's there but the Pinkertons? And the Pinkertons, even though they are guns for hire, they tend to be people that are sort of misfitish, like, the regular Mounties, or back in the United States, they couldn't get into the police department because there was, something lacking, or maybe a criminal background, or for whatever. They're more on the wild side. And Nathan talks about this. And Nathan says, to Lucas, "I've got your back." And he's saying this to Lucas, not because Lucas is doing something wrong, but because Lucas owns the saloon. And yes, he still does own the saloon. We will get to that in a minute. So he owns the saloon. This is where the Pinkertons are going to show up. They know they have like a drink, unwind, they can get rowdy. And Lucas has tried his best to make the saloon family friendly, more like a restaurant. So Nathan says, "I have your back with that," which is good. And I predict though that something's going to happen. This is why people are walking around with guns every day. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the saloon now, since we took the guns to the saloon, because there will be some people in that saloon, like the good old Pinkertons, probably causing trouble. So your everyday citizen is going to need extra protection. So now the saloon. This I feel like is Captain Obvious, okay, on my part. Lucas didn't sell the saloon. I predicted that he didn't sell the saloon way back, and I predicted it not only because of how it ended, you know, like it looked like he was going to, and it built the drama and how season 8 ended, and then she's like, you were going to leave, and he goes, but it would have been the biggest regret, you know, like he went and he looked for it, he didn't leave. So he didn't sell the saloon. Even Nathan encourages him not to sell the saloon, as does Henry. But anyway, it makes him think. The saloon, we know it's okay. We know he's still there because one of the first photos that we were blessed with was this one from Peter. And then he even does one with he calls it, you know, the first teacup shot of the season. And he pays attention to social media because all of those Hearties out there that are Lucabeth Hearties or Lucas fans, they are, you know, blasting social media with Teacup Tuesday. If the Edify store were smart, the Edify store would pay attention to social media and make a teacup, not this, although I do like it, but a teacup with some kind of graphic of Lucas Bouchard on it because people will gobble it up. And you still have time, Edify store, if you're watching. Elliot, do you hear me? Make a teacup, okay, so we can all buy it. Okay, anyway. So then we also saw this shot of Lucas inside the saloon, which is definitely, he owns it, and there's still more goings on in there. So that's my Captain Obvious. What's my prediction? We're going to see a lot of scenes inside there. That's my prediction. We're all predicting that. We all know that. That's like we know it. Okay, so I am going to move on. And this time I want to talk about another establishment in Hope Valley. And that would be the Mercantile and the new store or the new establishment, which is Yost Pharmacy and Soda Shop. How exciting is that? Now, I'm not surprised that it's there. Now, if you look closely and you're familiar with the setting, you will see that that was once Dottie's dress shop. And now it has become, because it's closed down, and we knew that that was a big possibility because they talked about it all season long in season 8. And so it's closed down and now it's a pharmacy. Now, if you look at this picture right here, the pharmacy was inside the Mercantile. You could see the sign where it says pharmacy. And we even saw Carson go over there and Faith go over there and pick up supplies. But at the end of season 8, we saw that Ned had put a patent in for a bandage. And people got upset about that in social media and said it was not him and all that. They're playing around a little bit with history here, okay? We don't know how far that's going to go. Maybe it will be denied. We don't know, but he's into this. So with building the new establishment, it's not only a pharmacy, but it's also a soda shop, which was very common in this era. We're creeping up to the 1920s now. So I love that it's there because it has been hinted that this was going to happen all along. In season 8, there were 3 different three different scenes that showed ice cream. And I even made an ice cream recipe about that. If you want to, I'll link it below and you could go look at that. You can make ice cream at home. And also one of the very first behind the scenes shots that Peter gave us was the ice cream churn from back in the day, the red one, and I'll show you that there. Okay, so in my recipe, you don't need a churn, but anyway. So we have lots of hints. Remember, I've said this. If you watched my video about hints and how books led Elizabeth and Lucas together, and we knew it back before season 6 even began. If you follow all those hints, you will see that good writers and good directors and good set directors who they put little hints around the room. They set this up, okay? So they've been setting this up for a while. Fiona was always grabbing a soda and drinking a soda, and even Ned called her out on it, making sure she left her money for it. She kind of like rolled her eyes. You always have, we also had Allie. She was drinking a soda more than one time. Then we had the 3 ice cream scenes where first, I think it was Opal, when she had ice cream all over her. And then, of course, there was Jessie with Clara walking down and having some. And then the bittersweet one with Allie and Nathan. And I did a whole video about that. But anyway, so these hints were all there. All of this rolled into one, and boop, we've got We've got the new establishment, the pharmacy, and the not the ice cream, the soda shop, which is great place for the younger crowd to start to gather. We could see Laura in there. We could see Allie in there with her friends. We could see all of the kiddos stopping in. They're starting to get like that teenager age, and they could go in, have a soda, an ice cream, all kinds of goodies can happen in there. And you know what else could happen in there? They could be building up Hope Valley in like the medical field, and that will be why Carson with his expertise is going to come back. That will also be why Faith will have a bigger storyline. Remember, they were going to expand the infirmary, then he said no and had to send back all the lumber. Well, maybe they will be expanding the infirmary. So these are all little good hints, and those are my predictions. I think that we are going to see the younger crowd in the soda shop. And we're also going to see that it's not going to go away. It's going to become bigger, especially with the younger children and actors and characters growing up. It will be like a great spot for them and for their storylines to move on. Something else I wanted to point out too is, see this scene right here? It is the Mercantile, and it is from, it's from this, it's a behind the scenes for this upcoming season. You see Robert, he looks like he's anxious about something, and you see Ned, but he's in his beekeeper suit. Now, when you look at this, it's more open in the Mercantile. I feel like it's not as crowded, and rightfully so, since they've been splitting things up, or it could be just the angle. But here was my thinking. Maybe not right away, but why not down the line, or somehow in season 9, they put clothing and inside the general store? Why not the dress shop per se inside the Mercantile, right? That would be that whole section there, and you have Clara, who could be helping out with that, unless she bought her part now that she has her money back, more of her part with the Abigail's, but who knows? But still, we have Florence that's in there, and they could be selling ladies' clothes and even apparel for men in the Mercantile, right? I think that that's going to happen. When in season 9, I'm not sure, but that is my prediction for there. Okay, so now for my third analysis and predictions. Quite a few behind the scene picks have to do with cars, automobiles. You know, the mechanicalization of Hope Valley is happening. Even Peter DeLuise sort of said that, sort of like that in one of his like blurbs with one of his photos. So we see a lot of cars. So first they give us this picture where they're all lined up. Now, in the past, the only people that really had cars was Henry. The Pinkertons always had cars from back in season 1, but Henry always had a car, and then Lee had a car. It was kind of a novel, like a novelty. And then even Lucas, when he first came, he had to borrow Henry's car in order to take Elizabeth to Union City. But then now in season 8, Lucas had a car. So they're the main people with a car. And if you remember, we got to go back to season 8. When it was only episode 2, who comes in down that carriage lane on a car into Hope Valley is Joseph, who brings his family there. And he talks about running out of gas. Now, he's making deliveries at that time, so he has to go and find the gas station. So there's this open up the gas station. There's this whole gas station conversation at Valley Gas. And then we get this behind the scenes shot. So Valley Gas is open again, which would make sense because all these automobiles run on gas, right? So from the behind the scenes, we are seeing several people with cars. We see all the cars lined up. They mention that one of the cars is Lucas's car because they show Joseph working on the undercarriage. And I'm going to show you this. And then I'm going to show you this again because this is significant. Then we get a shot of Fiona, who's driving like a truck. Fiona cracks me up. She's like the only person there with a driver's license, if you remember that a few seasons back. And so we also know that the Pinkertons have a car because here it is. We've even seen them driving through the town. We also see where we know Lucas, of course, has a car. We know Lee already has a car. We already know that Henry has a car. So, wow. Okay, this just signifies change is coming to Hope Valley. But it also signifies something else in my mind, at least. Do you remember the very first scene in episode 2 when Robert winds up getting on the horse and he loses control and Elizabeth has to go after him? I think it's Carriage Lane. They're running down that lane. And before that, coming down the lane and was Joseph. He had to park to the side and then he had to go get gas. Now Jesse helps him. He's put gas in the car and they're off to the side talking, and they are almost like colliding even though they're off to the side. With Robert coming down with Elizabeth, and he's like, wow, lively town. Now that could be just the welcome of the town, because it really isn't that lively, but it is getting lively. But then I also remember there's that scene where Lucas is driving like frantically out of town because he's like so upset and the end of season 8, episode 12, that he almost hits Lee. And Lee's like, wow. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And off he goes. What does this mean? Well, there's potential for some danger here. I think somebody is going to get hurt. I don't mean they're going to die, but there's going to be something about it. It's going to be crowded. We still have horses. We still have people walking. And then these cars, it's inevitable. There's going to be some type of a car accident or a car breaking down or almost an accident. That is my prediction. Okay, and this brings me to my 5th and final prediction. We have Joseph working on the undercarriage of Lucas's car. And again, in my mind, this has to do with safety. And it has to do with Lucas being a family man. He is no longer a tumbleweed. Now, I'm on several fan pages, and there is a fan, her name is Kelsey. I'm going to leave it at that. Kelsey was pointing out something that didn't have to do with cars, but I linked it to my prediction because it was just something that was floating in my head. So Kelsey, she put up a picture very similar to this one. This one is mine, and it is from season 8 at the very end, where Lucas and Elizabeth are celebrating have that private celebration for her book in the library. And when you see this, you can see in the background is a teddy bear. So what we're looking at is Elizabeth's view. She's gazing out at Lucas, and behind her in her view is that teddy bear. Now, that teddy bear looks very similar to a teddy bear that Lucas won back in season 6 for Little Jack. I'm not sure if that is the same teddy bear, but the point is we've got Lucas, Elizabeth, and Little Jack becoming a family. And that's what this signifies. That's the message. That's kind of what Kelsey was pointing out, and that's what's in my mind. How that links to the undercarriage of, I said the word undercarriage so much, of Lucas's car is that I feel like something is going to like jeopardize their safety in some way, or the threat of their safety. And it's just Lucas being more of a family man, and him, you know, not just worrying about himself anymore, the tumbleweed, but about Elizabeth and about Little Jack. They are a family. He's parked outside. He's now inside. They're going to have some scenes of them inside. We're going to see him, you know, have his priorities shift a little. He's always been very protective of those he loves anyway. And now that's going to be more of Little Jack and Elizabeth. That was it. That's what leads me to this. And it also leads me to an analyzation that I'm going to make of Lucas and even Nathan and all the little hints that we have, especially with their surroundings and their scenes. There are so many background pieces and clues that we didn't even realize unless we paid attention, especially with Lucas in his office. And when they showed the office again and all the details, and one of the people in charge of the sets wrote, "Oh, I had so much fun doing this," all the details that are in there. If you pay attention, you're going to get some insight and some ideas of what Lucas's life was like. And the same with Nathan. We're going to get more about him too in that jail. And that jail is so stark. So that's even a hint. And that's what's coming up in my next videos. But anyway, thank you for staying with me. I love your comments. Tell me what you think. Again, these are just my observations. I am not going by any interviews except for that one little tiny piece that Kevin said, but I've quoted that before about what's to come for Nathan. All of this is what is being fed to us from behind the scenes. And then, of course, thank you, Kelsey, for sharing your insight into the teddy bear in the library. Okay, thank you. You have a good day. Bye.